And then I just got to jump to 2011 because then okay,
yeah.
Set it up for us. You're having this premiere.
All right. So I didn't. None of what was happening was known to me. It was like, okay, my roommate who'd worked on it, his girlfriend, my girlfriend, and I. It's like, all right, let's get a cab. Let's go. Let's go over to the premiere. Like this is gonna be. This will be great. And traffic was crazy getting over there, and like we were gonna have a drink, across the street.
And just to clarify for those people who never heard, you guys were having a premiere at, I believe, Grumman's?
It was Man's Chinese.
Man's Chinese.
And it was pretty early. I think premieres are typically like around 7 p.m. or 6:30 p.m.
I think it might have been earlier because I remember because I lived by there, and I remember driving back. Earlier than 7, there was huge traffic as well.
Yeah.
And you guys were also having a performance afterwards by DJ Cascade.
Yeah, there was going to be a performance afterwards. So what ended up happening was Cascade had gotten a permit for Cascade to play like in the back of a truck, like a DJ set, and he was going to spin for the people arriving at the premiere.
Nice. Right?
So it's like, all right, that's cool. And I think he sent out a tweet or something like that said, like Man's Chinese Theater, like Hollywood, like Hollywood and Vine or whatever, I'm going to, free DJ set. And 8,000 kids showed up. So we barely got into the premiere. I mean, it was so crazy hectic, and we didn't really kind of like know what was going on. Like we didn't kind of understand the gravity of the situation that was happening. And I think that it's also important to kind of note that up to that point, in 2011. It went from the Coliseum in 2010 to now Vegas is the main venue for E.D.C.E in 2011. And a lot of that is due in part because, Insomniac and the city of LA, I think that they were bumping heads. I think there was probably political things going on that weren't really, I'm not really privy to that kind of thing. And also, when you have an event of that size, I think in 2010 it was like 200,000 people. There was a young girl that overdosed, and obviously it wasn't the fault of the event.
Overdosed and died, or just overdosed?
Overdosed and died.
Oh,
right. And so, later on it comes to light that it's like, her boyfriend gave her whatever, and, that kind of thing. But obviously when something like that happens and you have an event that's making so much money and that's causing such a big deal in the city, it's very easy to blame the promoter or to blame the culture or what have you. So I think all those things were in play once, those 8,000 kids showed up. So it's like, whether it was an actual riot, I think that could really be argued, because all we really saw was kids sort of dancing in the street and dancing on a couple of cop cars, that kind of thing. I've seen way more damage done after the Lakers win the win the championships than what damage was done outside that event. And they're not canceling the NBA finals the next year, or moving the NBA finals to to some unbeknownst location like in the desert where things can quote unquote be safer. So I think that all those things were sort of in play, and we barely got into the premiere, and then afterwards it's there's riot police and helicopters, and I mean it was really like a big to do, and we're kind of all shaking our heads like, wow, this is crazy, how did this sort of happen? And it's really just the one tweet that Cascade sent out. So the next day
a tweet can change the world.
Yeah, a tweet can change the world. And the next day I'm at home, and I turn on the 5 o'clock news, and Brian Williams is talking about riot in LA at a rave premiere, and I called Kevin, and I'm like, oh my God, are you watching this? He's like, this is insane. So we were supposed to open, the movie was supposed to open in almost 700 theaters nationwide as part of, Fathom Events. It's like, which is basically like a one night type of screening.
Okay.
And when we see this, I think our first reaction is like, oh my God, we're getting national we're getting national press here.
Uh-huh.
This is huge. Like, wow, this is great. Like, everybody's gonna see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then within the next day, it's like that sort of high from being on the national news all of a sudden gets flipped to 80% of the theaters have pulled out because they don't want Riot on their hands, like at the screening. Which is just insane because, like, we went and I think we saw it at the Bridge. And when we went to see it at the Bridge, like, there's a guy there, like, telling us, there will be no dancing in here. There will be none of this. It's like, are we high school kids? Like, I'm here with my mom. Like, it's like, there's all these people here, and, it was almost treated as if, like, you guys need to have, like, a collar put on you and restrained. And it was really kind of unfortunate because I think that a lot of people in a lot of cities could have gone and experienced the movie the way it's supposed to be experienced in the theater, and they didn't get that opportunity.
But it's like bizarre. It's like this movie with this one incident that was started by a tweet turned all of America into the town from Footloose.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, it's really crazy. And,
you can't dance.
And like I think that it's too bad in the sense from a financial perspective. It was really tough on Insomniac and Kevin because they didn't, they could have easily made money from all these screenings, and now it's like all the wings gets clipped. It's like I think it went from 700 theaters basically down to 100. So financially, it was a big blow. And I mean, for me personally, because I didn't really have a financial stake in it, I'm more just kind of like a hired producer to run a couple different departments. It's just upsetting because you feel like your work is going to get seen by a lot of people, and then all of a sudden these people don't have the opportunity to see it. Yeah. So it was unfortunate from that standpoint. But as Kevin would say, he's like, hey, the cool part is, hey, your movie caused a riot that shut down Hollywood Boulevard. He's like, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, we'll always have that story. We'll always have those photos and that kind of thing. Like, that part is cool. It's just, the unfortunate side effect is not being able to share it with more, with more audience goers. Mm-hmm.
But now that we should mention the film is available on Netflix.
Yeah, it's available on Netflix. You can get it on iTunes.
Wait, do you get a chunk of that money?
No, I do not.
Then
get
fuck it.
Yeah.